Hi everyone, Anna is here, and in this video we're going to be learning about the light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis. It's a more difficult stage, and the easiest way, guys, to learn this is to actually draw it out and to separate it into separate components. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So before we start with photosynthesis, we obviously need to go through the overall reaction. So this is going to be 6CO2 plus 6H2O going to C6H12O6, which is a glucose, and plus 6CO2. The photosynthesis is then subdivided into the two main stages, which is going to be light-dependent stage happening in thylakoid, and which is the focus of this video. And then the second video after this will be on light-independent stage, which happens in stroma. This is very similar to the electron transport chain happening at respiration, which you're welcome to view this video as well. So very similar principles. So once you understand one of those, it will be very easy to describe it. So again, the easiest way, in my opinion, to learn this is to separate this process into different components. Copy this over because we can then talk through this. So if you need to pause this video, please go ahead and do so. So what I've drawn here are the three embedded electron carriers, which I'm labeling now as PS2 and PS1. And then there is one in the middle and two little ones kind of sitting on each side of that. So this will be passing the electrons. Then we have ATP synthase on the far right. And we also, at this stage, need to clarify what side this is happening within the cell. So the top side is going to be stroma. It's the same side where the ATP is produced. And then at the bottom, there will be thylakoid lumen. So just be aware that different textbooks might have it in a different way. So the best way to orientate it is say, okay, where is ATP produced? And that will be the side of the stroma. To go through this process, we're going to separate it into the electrons, protons, and electron carriers together with ATP synthase. Let's start with electrons first, which will be coming from PS2 and PS1. So PS2 and PS1, they represent chlorophylls, which will be absorbing light. And as you can see with this arrow, I'm representing light. And as the light hits PS2, the electrons will be raised to a higher energy level. They'll be excited, which is a physical term. And what will happen to them now, guys, is that they will be transported from electron carrier to electron carrier, because electrons can't just dissipate into the environment. They have to be carried by an entity. Okay, so let's draw this journey. So they get excited and then they get passed across electron carriers, just like that. And then the light will also hit PS1, and some electrons will go into PS1, and again, more electrons within PS1 will be excited, and they will continue the journey where they'll be transported from electron carriers to electron carriers, as represented by the arrows here. These processes happen more or less simultaneously. So although I'm teaching it to you guys that they're happening in the separate stages, they're actually happening probably mostly simultaneously. Finally, the electrons will be accepted by a coenzyme NADP, which will then become reduced NADP, which is slightly different to NAD for respiration, but the easy way to remember it that NADP, P for photosynthesis. Okay, let's now, guys, move to the protons. So as electrons pass across the electron carriers, they will be releasing energy. And that energy will be used to actively pump protons, H pluses, from stroma into the thylakoid lumen. And this will build the electrochemical gradient of the protons on the thylakoid lumen. So high electrochemical gradient and concentration on the thylakoid lumen side and low on the stroma, hence the active transport. And those protons will then be transported across the ATP synthase, which will drive the rotation of one of the subunits, and it will result in the production of an ATP molecule, which will be synthesized from the ADP and inorganic phosphate. And so the final products of this reaction are the ATP and reduced NADP, which both will be essential for the light-independent stage. But here is a problem. If the light keeps hitting PS2 and PS1, the electrons will run out eventually. So there is an extra process that you guys need to know, which is called photolysis of water. The light will hit a molecule of water, which will dissociate it into 2 protons, 2 electrons, and half of oxygen molecule. Then those protons can be used to build the high concentration gradient on the thylakoid lumen side. The electrons then can be supplied into PS2, and the oxygen, funnily enough, is just a waste product of the light-dependent stage. But anyway, guys, this is basically the summary of entire light-dependent stage. Hopefully this video really simplified it for you and helped you to understand it. So guys, please press the thumbs up for this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.